It's time for Inside the Patch with your Las Vegas Raiders. Here's Gnarley Charley.
The Inside the Patch brought to you by Fresno Rack and Shelving. Nice rack. It's Gnarley Charley. And Inside the Patch is brought to you by ESPN 1430, your Valley local sports leader. And again, we have Mitch Adams here, who I call you the professor of, well, the perfect rotation. That's your device. That's a basketball training device. Go to perfectrotation.com. Look at that thing. If you want your kids to be the next Seth Curry, yeah, there you go. It's a training device. And actually, maybe we got to make a football one next for Garoppolo and let them try that, see what happens. Well, Mitch, welcome to the program once again. And here's our assignment today, to try to find something positive to move forward, because we are 1-1. We're not out of it. We are mathematically still available.
And
so what do we do?
And we enter week 3 still in first place.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
There are two teams behind us with 0 wins, so go figure.
You know, I the Buffalo game, I just hated it. We went down there and scored, and I don't know why. I think we're in trouble. That was too easy, and they made 2 adjustments, and then we were like done.
We drove down that first drive, and I'm sitting because our first play went for negative yards. And then
right.
just went down the field, 16-yard touchdown to Adams. I'm like, wow, they made that look easy. And so I was very hopeful that we'd put some points up. But only 10?
And I'm trying, Mitch, I'm trying not to say, same old Raiders, that's the way we do it, just like last year. I don't want to say it because it's different people. It's not the same old people. And we got a whole bunch of different people.
It's only week 2.
It's feeling that way.
It's only week 2. We looked pretty good in week 1. I mean, there was something to build upon, especially getting the victory. Week 2, you hope that we'll see something different coming back home. And because if we don't, it's going to be a long season yet again.
Think about all those years where, like when the Rams weren't supposed to win and they ended up winning. I mean, things happen. I remember when the Raiders lost to the Eagles in 1980, and then we beat them in the Super Bowl that year. It's like, and we were a wild card. We weren't even supposed to be there. So there's a lot of time for things to happen. They have to play the games. It's not, it's not absolute.
Well, you do have to play the games, and as we saw,
that's what I'm saying. That's the deal. You don't automatically win if you're the Chiefs, just because you're the Chiefs.
Well, we saw what happened. I don't know if you were watching the Monday night game with Nick Chubb's knee. I was able to see it through going on Twitter and was able to catch a European feed of the actual knee injury.
It was bad.
Any one play can change the misfortunes, or not the misfortunes, but can change the fortunes of a team to misfortunes. Same with the Jets. Mm-hmm. The Jets were riding high they were on Hard Knocks. And I was truly going to be somewhat of a Jet fan from afar because there was going to be a great story. Similar to Tom Brady going down to Tampa and winning the Super Bowl. I was hoping that if the Raiders, if they couldn't do it, then perhaps the Jets could go in and it would be a great story for the NFL. And then 4 plays into the game, their entire season has changed before the game even started, basically. So I say that to say anything can happen on any Sunday. And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed because it's still early and I still want to watch football this year. And I still want to do this show. So I'm going to watch because I have a passion for the Raiders. And I did see some good things, but I also saw some poor things. And if we don't get someone opposite Crosby to rush that passer, then they can double team Crosby on one side and just go one-on-one for the rest of the line.
And that puts too much pressure on our DBs. I mean, they have to get some penetration.
Way too much.
So you do fantasy football?
I didn't do it this year. This is the first year I haven't done it in years because I needed a break from just being football 7 days a week. That's tough.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I had the Pittsburgh defense. I have them on my team. And I was down, and they scored 26 points. And I was like, perfect. Get it all out, because next week I hope you just get killed, and I don't want to play you.
Right,
But it was like, I mean, it's been 2 games. It's hard to judge any team by 2 games.
It really is. There are some teams that have proven or that have shown already that they are what they are. And there's a few good teams in this league, really good teams. But it's hard to say right now whether teams are truly bad, because preseason is gone down from 4 to 3, and you're not playing a lot of players, and it takes a week, sometimes 2 weeks, maybe 3, to get your football legs under you and really get going. And so I do think we need to reserve judgment until we get into October, and by October we'll know exactly what 1 through 32 is in the league. We'll know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, okay, so now let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's so much history there. And Mitch, I know you know so many of the 70s Raiders. And really, in the 70s, we were in the AFC Championship with Pittsburgh, like 72, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I mean, they're the ones that knocked us out with that immaculate reception. I hate that thing. And so we have a history of, it's not hate, but just like, Pittsburgh.
It was hate at one time. I met with Phil Villapiano. He introduced me to Franco Harris a few years ago in Oakland, and rest in peace, Franco. Nicest guy. Oh my God! And I told him point blank. I said, I used to hate you. I said based on the rivalry, and I said, but you're so nice. I can do nothing but smile and be happy that I'm in your presence. It was such a nice guy. Oh my God, so nice. Yeah.
Well, I think all the ex-players, when they get out of the game, it changes. Now they're comrades with the other players.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, the way Phil and Franco talked about what they've done together and their families were getting together. It was just, they had a camaraderie between the two of them. It was insane. And additionally, Calvin Sweeney, who played along Stallworth in Swan, number 85 out of USC, also became a good friend. I met him through Rod Martin, and Calvin and I, old buddies, and he's asked me on a number of occasions to come back with them to Pittsburgh when they play the Raiders, and I think the next time they do that, I will go with them. He said, you really need to see how the Pittsburgh, the team, the city, take care of us, the former players. He said it's unreal. So you fast forward a number of years, and these guys they're just nice guys, and you want to hate them, but they're fun. And so, but we can still hate those teams of the past, because they did stop us from going to quite a few Super Bowls, and you throw Miami in there as well. Back in the 70s, the Raiders were right there every year, and then finally got over the hump and won. But even they would have gone back the next year, but that bad call in Denver, Tatum knocking the ball out of Rob Lytle's hands, and they blew the whistle. Had there been replay back in 77, Raiders would have gone to 2 Super Bowls in a row. So go figure. Well,
Terry Bradshaw and Howie Long worked together, and they're close. Yeah. I mean, and that Raiders Steelers was a real thing,
Oh, no doubt.
There was a
talk to George Atkinson about his feelings for the Pittsburgh players. There's still a hatred that he has for them, especially their former coach Chuck Noll, who called him.
Hey, so another weird thing happened, and I don't know how this came up, but Derek Carr was asked a question about the Raiders, and he said, "Once a Raider, always a Raider." And someone told me, and I haven't heard it, but I don't know the context of it, but I'm like, that's kind of a cool answer. Maybe not for the Saint fans, but he does have a lot of Raider records, most of them.
He does, and it is once a Raider, always a Raider. But I was talking to a Marine, a former Marine, and I inadvertently called him an ex-Marine, and my God, he lost it.
Oh, yeah.
He said, once a Marine, always a Marine. And he pulls his sleeve up, and he's got the USMC across his arm. And I said, hey, my mistake. I am sorry. I said, I'll never make that mistake again. And I do believe that if you played for the Raiders for any amount of time and were productive and you were one of the leaders, once a Raider, always a Raider. That holds true for most of the guys that put on the silver and black.
I was at a Raider game, and I was on the club level that we're used to do your show, and somebody put it was like a United States flag, but it was all black and gray, a Raider flag. Yeah. But apparently they had it going the wrong way, and the security guard, who was a nice guy, he came all the way up and said, "Hey, you got to hang it the other way." And I didn't even know there was a difference, and he wasn't a jerk about it, but it was. It wasn't even a United States. It was a Raider United States flag. But he made the guy turn around. And nobody cared. But I was just like, that means something. And if you don't know, you don't know. Just like the guys in the 70s, there was a thing, you know?
Oh, yeah. It was a big thing. Big thing. And I'm just going to fit. George Atkinson, to this day, there's a hatred there. Swan and Stallworth and Chuck Noll. Oh, when you mention them, his whole demeanor changes. Yeah. Yeah,
it doesn't get. It's not funny. Sometimes you can't be best friends with them.
Well, they call them the criminal element back then. And you know the hit Adams took in the game against Buffalo by their safety. Back in the 70s, that might have been a good hit, but today, you know, hey man, the ball was gone, and you still laid helmet to helmet. That's not football anymore. Did
you see that Devontae did not want to go into protocol? He didn't want to go in a tent. He wanted nothing to do with it. But you know, it's part of the deal.
Yeah, and the game.
And that guy, the guy from Denver that hit Jacoby, he got kicked out of the game this week. He's done 2 weeks in a row of an unnecessary roughness hit.
Hopefully those personal fouls would escalate, and maybe we see some sort of suspension for guys that are habitual violators of that rule.
So let's keep this positive. Because you know what? We win this game. We're looking good. And I think we match up well with them. I hope that we can get the running game going. I really am concerned about that.
I am too. And the announcers made a good point that as a running back, whether or not you're fresh, you might not be in game shape. Jacobs came in, you know, having not had to spend his summer in a training camp, but he wasn't game ready, and he wasn't on the same page, so to speak, with his linemen, learning again their movements, his movements, how they work in tandem. It's or in unison. It's not there quite yet. And it will get there because when they brought in the reserve back, man, he was hitting the holes and he was getting through there. So I do think it's a timing thing. And it's just a matter of time because Jacobs is too good to not get that time. And the lineman will sync up with him shortly. I really feel that. And, you know, the biggest thing for us with this Pittsburgh game is to stop Watts and then the running back, the local product, 22. I can't think of his name.
He's from Oakland, right?
He's from Antioch.
Antioch.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's not say his name then. Just let me speak it. All right. So then, if I'm not saying we're going to lose, but if we do, I think McDaniels is on a hot seat. You know,
he would have to be because.
I also think
it would be the same old story from last year.
But he could flip it with a win. The home game win could be all the difference in the world. You know,
a win is the best medicine in the world, and if you win, then you enter week 4 still in first place.
Yeah.
We just need to keep clawing along, and this a victory at home would go a long way to righting the ship, making some players feel good about, okay, we just went through a long preseason and training camp, and you know, this game at Buffalo, we knew we'd come out of the first 2 weeks on the road probably 1-1. So they're probably not feeling that bad.
Right.
Even though the sting of the game, losing the way they did, is not fun. But in the grand scheme of things, you probably said, we come back home 1-1, we could live with that. We win at home, be 2-1, and then, I hate to look ahead, but then you go to a real home game in LA versus the Chargers in week 4.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know.
Oh, and if the Chargers lose this week, they're going to be so hungry. They'll be 0-3, and they're going to just be out for blood.
Well, they might be out for blood, but sometimes you might throw the hat in early as well. And their coach, that guy's a gunslinger, man. He throws caution to the wind, and a lot of times he does things at the detriment of the team. However, let's talk about that next week. We've got Pittsburgh this week, and I do think Pickens and Pickett, we keep those guys under wraps and slow their running game. We could be all right, man, because I do think I've watched James Richard Garoppolo, JRG in the pocket. He stands tall, and he's not it. Because if you watch any of the Saints game on Monday night, when the pocket broke down, Carr went down. And I was like, that's the guy I remember. And then I thought back to the game Sunday. James Richard Garoppolo stood tall in the pocket, even when it was collapsing. And, you know, that interception that he threw when the ball went to Jacobs, the linebacker just made a great play on the ball and jumped. I don't even know how he got there.
He was as high. He jumped as high as he could. I was like, man.
And then reached over and pulled. That's crazy.
Well, I was thinking. I remember we took the tour of the stadium. The Raiders used to have yellow in their. They had like a gold thing in their uniform. I saw the early cheerleading uniforms. We should break that out just to mess with them. You know, like look at this. There's some old gold right here, Steelers.
That first helmet, yeah, they had gold in it. And you know the name of the team before the Raiders, right?
Yeah, what was it? It was the
Senors.
The Senors?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I'm trying to act like I knew that. I did not know that. The Senors?
Yeah, that was going to be the name.
What's that mean?
Senors, Mister.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. So we could have been the Mr. Misters. Now we're Pirates. That's funny.
And then
all right.
The silver came in with Al Davis. They went from the gold over to the silver when Al came to the team. Just a little. I
really think the Oakland A's should have switched their colors to silver and black, and it would have changed. They would have got more fans. I think Oakland, when they were green and yellow, they were like, "What is this?" It would have tied them in better, I think.
Well,
but then they did their own thing in line.
You remember back in the day, the Steelers and the Pirates and then the Penguins, they're all gold and yellow. And I don't know I don't know if any team switched over to that color, but they're all gold and yellow. I mean, gold and black, to match Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Which is great for the city.
Yeah.
I mean, as fans, you could have one color and just change your hat, and then you're ready for all the teams.
And those days you played in the same stadium too. They do hockey probably in the same. Remember, We Are Family and Willie Starr.
Oh my God, I remember all that. But yeah, if the A's had changed to silver and black, man, I never even thought of that. That would have been awesome. Wow.
Then it would have been. They could have been the Owls. L. Davis.
That would have been a cool hat. Oh my goodness!
We'll just tell the kids that's what it was. They won't even know.
Get a hat made.
All right, so Mitch, no terrible towels. We don't want towels.
No,
towels aren't good.
No,
and we're gonna win.
They can bring the towels.
We're gonna come to play.
They can bring the towels just to wipe their tears because let's put a beat down on them. You know, it's going to be weird though.
That's good.
If they show the stands at Allegiant Stadium.
And there's more Steeler fans.
Oh, my God. Every game I've been to thus far you get so confused with the cheering. You're like, why are they cheering that? It's like, there's more of them in here than us. So
well, and it's really because all the the casinos own all the tickets. So,
I mean, if someone's offering you a fortune for your tickets and you put them out there, most people are going to take the money. You're not going to, you're a Steeler fan, I'm not going to sell it to you. Like, you want to pay this for my, hey, you can have them. So, yeah.
We got to protect our home. We got to protect our home.
And it's a vacation for all of those visiting teams. They're like, we can go to Vegas.
Yeah.
They can spend a week there. And, yeah, for us that live near Las Vegas, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal.
So I want to see Hunter Renfrow and Josh Jacobs make more of a difference this week. That's my hope.
I would really like to see Hunter be a focal point of the offense as he was 2 years ago. I mean, what happened? They keep talking about wanting to trade him. I don't know. I've not heard anything about him being in the doghouse or the team not wanting him. I just don't understand.
No, I don't think it's that. I just think they got to figure it out. They
do need to figure that out because he's a great underneath receiver. And, we're
paying him a lot of money.
5-10 yards here and there.
I
mean, he's a safety valve.
Yeah.
Hopefully we see him. And hopefully Jacoby's back. Jacoby Myers is back this week because I think that made a difference as well.
Yeah.
Because if you got Jacoby...
He was in practice, but he had a special jersey on. So he's supposed to be back. He's still in the protocol, kind of, but he's supposed to come back.
Yeah.
So.
And then our other defensive end.
Mitch Adams.
Our defensive end, Wilson, man, he's got to get off that ball. It doesn't even matter what you do. Just get off the ball and force the pressure from the opposite side of Crosby so that they can stop double teaming.
He's on a little delay. We need to get him in there. I dig it. All right, Mitch Adams, the professor of the Perfect Rotation, perfectrotation.com. Thanks again, and we will see you next week when we're 2-1. That's what's happening next week, right?
I like that. That
would be a perfect rotation.
Yes.
Thanks, Mitch.
We'll be back with more Inside the Patch on 1430 ESPN, your official home of the Las Vegas Raiders.